Hello everybody and welcome to the garden. Today I will present to you where I garden, how I garden, and show you around, not in depth but more so that you can get a feel of the area before we do any other project together. Hello, my name is Leah and I garden in central rural France in a very unknown and not very much populated area of Burgundy. So we are not near the famous vineyards, we are not near Dijon, we are not near Beaune. We really are in the countryside. I garden following permaculture principles, so I garden using diversity, natural practices. It's a no-dig space. Not that tilling your garden is bad by nature, but I just don't do it. And I try to garden as economically as possible because I function on a very small budget. Here our garden, or where we are I should say, is a fenced in area that I will refer as the vegetable garden most of the time because that's where I grow most of our veggie, even though I have some perennial crops outside of those fences. It's a 600 square meter area, so roughly I think 1/8 of an acre, but we'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong. And the entire property is 12,000 square meters, so I think it's a little over 3 acres. Before I take you around, I wanted to present you this space a little bit. So as I said, we follow permaculture principles. And I should say I follow because I'm the main gardener of this family, and this space is only going into its second season. The oldest beds and the oldest areas are 1.5 years old, and some of them are just 2 months old. Like some of the latest beds I've made in April this year, so 2 months ago. Our goal here is to grow all of our veg, all of our fruits, and most of our nuts and legumes and some grains if we can. And I think in such a space like 600 square meter is pretty big for 2 people, a family of 2. And you will see I grow too much, way too much for a family of 2, but I'm passionate about growing food, sharing food, and giving it to friends, family, loved ones, neighbors, all of that. We grow in zone 7B, if that means anything to you. Basically, it's about our average coldest temperature in the winter, and we have a fairly long growing season. Last average frost is mid-April, give or take 2 weeks, and our average first frost is early November. So we have a fairly long growing season, which allows me to grow loads of things, do a lot of succession sowing, and enjoy a almost 7 months of frost-free weather. So now that the introductions are done, let's show you around. So maybe, as you could probably tell, this space is sectioned in 4 quadrants, and each quadrant had a purpose when I began this garden, and now with time it changes. Things can change in 2 seasons and decisions can be made. I'm starting with the far back quadrants here behind me. As you can probably tell, there's not much to say about this space, it's just grass. It can also give you an idea of what the garden used to look like. This area, it was just a pasture 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago actually, and this area will be transformed hopefully this fall. So we'll do it together. The idea here, or at least the plan, is to have raised beds and have, I don't know, 6 or 8 of them depending on the size, and maybe if we can find some, host some runner ducks. I would love to have them here. That would mean to have a little pond that we will be digging up and creating in a natural way with like clay and all of that. And it would mean as well to have a little area with another fenced in space so that they can have their coop inside of this, more secure, and so that they can stay safe during the night. So yeah, this quadrant doesn't really have much to show just yet, But as I'm the only one working here, and here again, working on a very small budget, I don't have time, I don't have the means, and I don't have the resources to do everything all at once. And that's good, because you still have projects, you still have things to look forward to, and I'm excited to see the changes that comes this fall. So here we are at the second back quadrant, and this quadrant is mainly perennials. We have fruit and veg that will come back year after year if we take good care of them. So back there, and I will do some close-up shots, we have some raspberries. They're all ever-bearing, and I choose to mow them down or cut them down in the spring so that they only bear or they only crop in the fall. I do that because in the spring and in the summer we have so many berries and so many fruits already. You have your strawberries, your blueberries, the plums, the cherries, the peaches, if I can grow some, and all of those. And I feel like having another fruit to preserve, to harvest, to take care of is just a little too much work, and might as well stagger the harvest and the joy of having fresh fruit from the farm all season long. We also have some artichoke, or I should say one lone little guy that survived the winter, and that's my fault. That's because I've mulched them too much and I think they're rotted away in the ground. We also have a huge asparagus patch with, I think, 40 crowns, something like that, which is way too much for 2 people. Don't be scared. You don't need to plant that many if you want to have a self-sufficiency in asparagus. It's just that I've been a little heavy-handed, and having too much asparagus is a problem I'm ready to tackle. So to show you a little more in depth this area, so that's the asparagus patch right there. You can see they're in trenches all of here. And then you have the lone artichoke, as I said earlier, and some potatoes. And this area is just being prepped for this fall, and I will be adding more strawberry crowns. I will do another ever-bearing strawberry patch, and I still have loads of space to play with in the fall or next year, as I said earlier. If it's not done this year, that's okay. I'll still be mowing it and keeping it short, and we'll see when we can get to it. Maybe some raised beds, maybe more berries, maybe some, I don't know, we'll see. So here we are at the middle of the garden. There's a pergola with 3 grapevines, and the last one is right there near the asparagus, and hopefully those will feed us with delicious grapes in the fall. I mean, I've put some plants that have, here again, staggered cropping season, and this one is the earliest. It should be ripe in August, mid-August to late August, and then all of the other one come in fruition 2 weeks or a month after that. So we are in the middle of the garden, and there's a very long bed you see here, and another one that should be mirroring it on the other side, but maybe, as you can tell, more than a meter off, but that's okay. You will see there's not that many straight lines here. And those beds are mainly flowers, so they're perennial flowers. Here I'm lucky enough to be in an area where dahlias are perennial. Usually if you're zone 7A or 7B, dahlias can be overwintered without any problem. You just need to mulch them quite well, and then you're good to go. And if you're in zone 8, even better, and then above that they're perennial without any problem. And I have loads of flower here, kind of to break the space up, and especially because when I put those 2 rows in last year, I was very much intended to have one area with just perennials and one area with more annuals, which I changed up, but that's okay. And those flowers have plenty of benefits. The first one is my own enjoyment. I adore flower. I love how they smell, how they look, what they bring to the area, to the space. You know, when people see a huge row of flowers, ultimately it's just smiles on faces. And also I love to have my own cut flower. I'm very much pro cut flower, pro having fresh flower in the house. and being able to produce them myself, being able to go and cut them and arrange the bouquet myself is very, very, very nice. It's kind of a blessing, and I still haven't realized that I can make fresh flower bouquet almost every day if I wanted to. So those will be glorious in just a few weeks, and I can't wait to show you what a huge row of dahlia look like. And I should say I can't wait to see for myself, because most of those dahlias were put in just 2 months ago. And I should have been more precise. This is not just flower. We are in the second row in the middle of the garden, and this one is not a row of dahlia. This one is a row of more mixed things. So you have some perennial veg. There's a perennial onion here, the last surviving of a row of 5, and then some sorrel, some sage, some service berries, some lavender. You can see some calendula over there. And so there's a lot of culinary herbs, medicinal herbs, and flowers. And we are going to see, for example, the rudbeckia that is just about to burst. Look at that. Can't wait to show you what it looks like. And then there's some peonies. There's one here and one there. Those are baby. They were just tiny, tiny, tiny tubers when I put them in this spring. And then we have a dwarf peach and 2 dwarf almond trees. And then here, oh, there's my dog. Trompette! And that's the second part of the garden. Which is where I grow most of the annual veg. And there is some perennial fruit and some perennial flower as well. So this is the older space. That's what I did in January, February of 2023. Yeah, 2023. So those beds are a year and a half, and we are going to see how the ground looks like underneath all that straw and that mulch, to show you how no-dig and how permaculture and how taking care of the soil works wonders in such a short time. Because literally a year and a half ago this was just grass with loads of my main weed here is morning glory, and I also have yarrow. There's a big problem here, but I know it's not a problem for everyone. And sidetrack here, but when I see people put yarrow in their yard, there's always something dying inside of me, because here I'm battling it like a weed. A gracious one, but a weed nonetheless. So you will see how good the soil looks, and I'm not saying that to, you know, rub myself off. I'm saying that to encourage you and to show you how easy it is to have healthy soil if you follow just simple principles that are not mine, that I've read in books, that I will and I might mention in the description down below. So I will show you a few things, but here we have mainly spring crops that are dying back that time of year. Haven't mentioned it, I think, but we are end of June. And summer crops that are just either starting to fruit or are coming into fruition very soon. So here is an example of how I plant things in beds. You have some annual veggies, so you can see some winter squash here down the line, a beautiful big courgette, which this one is Ronde de Nice. It's a French heirloom and it's beautiful. And then you have, maybe you can't tell, but there's a little cranberry over there. This currant is probably dead, so I'll replace it. And then there's a row of dahlia in the middle. If you didn't get it, I adore dahlias. And so perennial flowers. There are some rows that are a little more intensely planted, a little more monocropping, like this bed of onion, but there are still other things growing, like beets in the middle. So there's a row of beets in the middle, and also a perennial flower, this gorgeous lavender, which is just blooming, and it's gorgeous. And so every row is following those principles. You have some flowers, annual or perennial, and you have some veggie. and there's so many things to be done that time of year. Some peas that are starting to peter out and die because of the heat. Some garlic that is doing the same thing over there, and then some summer crops that are just about to pop, like this butternut that is just sending new little flowers. So here I am standing in the last quadrant and standing in the perennial area of it. I'm standing in the strawberry patch, which is, as you can see behind me, a little big, and those are ever-bearing strawberries. I also have some June-bearing, and I'm going to work on getting more June-bearing strawberries because those are practical. I'm trying to be away from the sun. I hope this works. So yeah, we have a huge strawberry patch. First off, it's my partner's favorite fruit. I really like strawberries as well, and it's also something very easy to grow. You will see I'm kind of in a cult of trying to convince people to put raspberries or strawberries in their yard. It's one of the easiest things you can grow. It's so easy, there are no words for it. You just put them in and then wait for it. You don't even have to weed, you don't even have to do anything. You don't really have to have such a rich soil for them to fruit. Obviously, soil health is always better, and obviously varieties might come into play to have a bountiful harvest, but most often strawberries thrive wherever you put them, and they offer you beautiful fruits, either all throughout the season if you have ever-bearing one, or a big crop all at once in end of May, June if you have June-bearing ones. And I will show you, I have a very tiny cottage garden in the corner to have more herbs, more perennial flowers, and to have a little haven for bees and other pollinators, so that I'm ensuring my strawberries to be well pollinated, but also having a pocket of beauty and a haven for wildlife. So let's walk to the cottage garden over there. And as I said, or I think I mentioned it, look at that poppy. I can't take it out. I know it's going to reseed and be everywhere. There's one right there. I know it. I know in 2 years I might regret it, which I think I won't. But it's too pretty. How can you take that away? It's too pretty. And the bees are so happy about that. So in that corner, as you can tell, there's no strawberry crowns. There's a tiny bit here, but no strawberry crowns. And I have some perennial flowers, salvia, rudbeckia, some yarrow that I haven't planted. It's just, I'm laughing so much because it's everywhere. Anyway, agora, and I have some herbs. There's some lemon balm, oregano, some sage. There's also some honeyberry. Those honeyberries are just a year old, so they're tiny babies, and I've never tasted a honeyberry, which is one of the things I love about gardening, is that you can literally grow things you've never tasted before. You can grow things that you can't even find at the store. And a lot of what I grow and why I grow it is because I can't really afford those things in the quantity I would need to feed myself and feed my family organically. So there's an economical purpose behind this. I can't afford to buy all of those fruits and all of those veg organic, but also there's a joy and discovery behind it as a purpose, because, for example, even if I wanted to buy honeyberry, organic or conventional, I can't find them. There's no one growing it around me, so I'm very excited to try them next year. And there's plenty of things that I grow here, either I've never tasted them before, or I can't even buy them around me. Here again, conventional or organic, doesn't matter, I can't even find it. So there's also that you can do with a garden, is being able to grow beautiful fruit and veg for less of a fraction of the price you would have to pay them organic, and also growing things that you can't find near you. flowers that you can't see, flowers that you can't buy, veg that you don't know about, veg that you've never tasted, fruits that you had no idea existed, and I think that's a beautiful thing that you can do. And now to finish off the tour, we have a few long rows of mainly veg, and here we have a huge row of tomatoes, behind it some potatoes and corn, behind it another row of potato, and behind it another row of potato. If raspberry or strawberries are the easiest fruits, potato is the easiest veg. You just put it in the ground and that's it. I'm using Ruth Stout method, which is basically putting potato in mulch, whether it is leaf mulch. I know Ruth Stout uses straw, or her method uses straw, which is what I use here. But if you don't have unsprayed straw available to you or affordably available to you, you can use mulch, leaf mulch. You can use a very fine almost broken down wood chip. You can use plenty of things to do that, and I will show you, because it might be counterintuitive to put potato just in straw. This one is flowering so we can see the tubers. I will try to show you. I will try to put you down. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I don't really know. So there's just straw, and if you dig down, and of course I'm filming and I'm not gonna find one. Oh yeah, there's one. I'm gonna show you. And if you dig down, you see the little potato, so it's still attached. I'm not gonna take it, it's tiny, but the potatoes are just developing in the straw, which is amazing. I mean, my hands are dirty, but not as dirty as digging potato in soil. So it's way easier to do and to dig, and it's also way easier to maintain, because remulching potato just with straw is way less labor intensive than mulching potato or hilling potato with ground or soil. And I should also mention, as I'm showing you around, look at that guy. I'm not going to comment on this. And I should mention, as I show you around, there's a lot of straw in this garden, because I have a very good source of unsprayed straw near me. But if you don't have it, that's okay. You can use plenty of other things to mulch your garden. You can use leaves, as I said before. You can use broken down wood chips. You can use lawn clippings. You can use plenty of things. Just be aware, if you're using straw, to ask questions about it to the people you're buying it from. If it's been sprayed with, all-purpose, what's it called? Herbicides, because those can leach into your garden, and you don't want Roundup in your garden. You don't want any of those poison in your garden. So if you can't be sure if those bales of straw have been sprayed, or if you can't have the answer, or if straw is super expensive for you, find another mulch. You don't have to mulch with straw for your garden to be a garden. You just have to mulch for it to be more healthy, for it to be healthier, for the soil to have less evaporation and less erosion because of the sun and the wind. But mulching is a beautiful practice, but you don't have to mulch with straw. You can mulch with pretty much any material that you have, whether it is leaf, hay, lawn clippings, all of that. So I think I'll show you around, or I've shown you everything so that you can get a rough idea of what the space looks like. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this walk around the garden. I will film more in-depth tours, and we'll talk about varieties, and I'll show you how the garden progresses throughout the season with garden tours. But that was just to welcome you in the space so that you can know where you are and how I garden here. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment below if you did, subscribe, and you will see me in the next one. Bye.